Hey y'all, we're back again. We're back again. We're doing it, and I kept the promise. I'm here again. I'm doing the thing. We're doing it. So here we are. Here we are. We're part 2 of the Joe Rogan trolling Theo Von, concern trolling Theo Von, as it were. And if you watched my video yesterday, I just broke down the notes, if you will, of the lore of this conflict. And how Joe Rogan probably committed a HIPAA violation, disclosing information about Theo Von. Throwing out some shade about a bombed Netflix thing when he's got no room to talk. It's a bit of a reach. But everything Joe Rogan does is a bit of a reach, considering how short he is. So, can I get a... Oh, shit. So, here we go. We're day 2. I'm going to touch on something that I was going to touch on yesterday, which was the idea that, this is not the first person Joe Rogan has done it to concern troll. In fact, its first victim, if you will, the test patient, was good old Bubba Schaub. And look, I am a card carrier member of PF Chang's. Shout out to PF Chang's gang. Red Bar is watching. Anyway, let's get into it right now. Here we go, folks. Part 2.
I'm a little concerned. Joe can call Theo. Theo will answer, so you could talk to him direct.
Yeah.
That's also
the main thing.
That's probably the best move, and not say it on the biggest podcast in the world.
I don't know why Brendan sounds like he's making fun of my cerebral palsy.
I probably shouldn't have brought it up, period. But I just sort of wanted to kind of explain why I have this thing with Theo where I just want him to be okay. He started talking about Israel, and I was like, I think you're just losing your mind. And a lot of people like, you're covering for Israel. And it wasn't what I was trying to do. And it is my fault. It's clunky, and I was just trying to talk him off the ledge.
So Brendan Schaub, like my for everyone else, here's the current timeline of this completely unnecessary male soap opera. It all started about 5 months ago when Theo bombed his Netflix special and made an off-putting remark.
Hey, we've all been there. We've all been there. And I mean, Theo is hilarious, so that truly was a bomb because he's hilarious. He's at me doubled over. He's not like Joe Rogan.
Towards someone in the audience.
I'll tell you about that, man. I'm having a long month. I'm trying not to my own life. So I just want to get this photo.
According to Theo, it got blown way out of proportion, and he said he would never intentionally do something like that.
I would never my own life. I would never my own life. Okay? You hear that, Israel?
Not long after, Theo goes on JRE, and every time he brings up real-world topics, Israel, Palantir, stuff he's genuinely curious about, people started feeling like Joe was kind of gaslighting him or making him sound crazy for questioning things.
I think Theo Von might be Tom Brady in a mullet wig. I don't know.
That Theo clearly cared about.
There's photos of Nancy Pelosi with JFK.
That was before Israel didn't kill him.
You think so?
I didn't say anything.
Yeah,
How much longer does Israel let us stay alive, do you think? That's a big question.
Why are they...
What did you say? Is that AI?
What are you saying?
That's Sora?
What are you saying?
I didn't say anything. Well, sketchy times. I mean, the same company, that company Palantir that was doing all that crazy stuff in in Gaza, and they were like, that own running.
What were they doing?
Okay, Joe, it's clearly gonna lie to Theo here. It's what we call a lie. And if anything, it's paltering because he's pretending not to know. But again, with Rogan, he might be so stupid that it might be legit. He didn't know Palantir was involved in the slaughter in Gaza.
The drones and stuff like this.
Okay, so you mean like facial recognition data?
Right.
Do they have that capability with drones, where they could just zoom around? Listen.
Okay, so
you're right. However, China's making drones.
Theo goes back on a few months later to promote his movie. And once again, people felt like Joe kept brushing off Theo's concern while also telling him he needed to get off antidepressants because they were making him lose his marbles.
It's all just a cat and mouse game. People are like, we'll elect the Democrats next time. It's like, but it's all the same has been happening forever. They haven't been helping anybody forever. They're letting fucking politicians slurp on kids. All of our fucking money goes to Israel and they're using it to fucking genocide people. It's like,
you're hanging out with Jared Kushner, who is making money off the selling futures in displaced empty Gaza. So again, Theo, it's kind of crocodile tears at this point. You elected this. So, and you hung out with David Duke. So
everybody is scared out of their wits right now. It's like our religious leaders are afraid to speak out, and it's like it's a time where it's like Satan is amongst us, and our religious leaders are fucking talking about bullshit at the poll. It's just like, what is going? I don't know, man.
We got to get you off those antidepressants, son. You're losing your fucking marbles.
You think I am?
Come hang out with us. Just chill out.
I'm here.
Just chill out at the mothership tonight.
I do have to pee in a little while, but
you can pee.
I'm going to pee in a minute, man.
We'll let you.
And ever since those appearances, Joe has publicly brought up Theo's mental health multiple times.
And I know people that have also been on him that they try to get off him, like my friend Theo Vaughn, and the roof falls off. And like every time he starts talking about something that drives him crazy, I just got to kind of rein him in and just like calm down. Like, if you've had friends their lives, and I've had a few.
I've had quite a few.
So that was episode 2495. 4 episodes later, Joe would again use Theo as an example of someone struggling with mental health.
Theo Vaughn's going through the exact same thing. And last time he was on the podcast, he was explaining it to me, and it freaks me out because I know Theo has had conversations before, like even publicly. He had a Netflix taping, and it didn't go well. It was like they actually.
This is how you know he's lying, guys. And I'm going to clip this for my channel. Let me just, yeah. I mean, Joe is lying here because he's talking about, Theo's Netflix special. But the reality of it is like, Joe was, months ago, he was blaming Mark Maron making a joke at his special about that being the reason Theo Vaughn. And look, I've criticized Theo Vaughn here. I've criticized Theo Vaughn on Instagram. I said if you endorse and hang out with the very politicians and their in-laws who are profiting off the genocide you're now crying about, you might be a redneck. That posted numbers on Instagram. That's not important. What's important is you like and subscribe. But again, like Joe Rogan is just lying here because he was first trying to blame Mark Maron for saying that Theo Vaughn would interview Hitler. And to be fair, Theo Vaughn talked about working out with David Duke. Now, the only reason I would ever agree to work out with David Duke is so I could lure him there and like bash him with the weights. But I mean, it's a lie it's like the lie where he said he knew a guy whose wife was something about a teacher with a school with litter boxes. He makes shit up. And he also doesn't like antidepressants or SSRIs because he's a stereotypical old East Coast Italian guy.
They shelved it. They never used it. And there was all these stories from people that were there saying he bombed. I think he just had a kind of a breakdown.
You would know about that, wouldn't you, Joe? Burn the boats. More like burn Netflix's money, you know what I'm saying?
When he was talking to the crowd, and there's a video of it where he said, the people were shaking, hey, we still love you. He goes, thank you. Look, I'm trying not to take my own life. That's what I'm trying to do right now. Yeah. And you hear stuff like that, and you just go like, oh, Jesus Christ. I've known too many people that I didn't think were going to kill themselves and then did. And then he goes down these spirals where he starts talking about world events and freaking out. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. I got to help this dude. And so I send him things about.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Because he's right to be upset about world events. World events are chaotic. A more correct criticism is the idea that, maybe it's a little too late for Theo, given that he's friends with Jared Kushner. Given the fact that he platformed the people who are doing the policies he's now, upset about.
People getting off of them, and apparently there's some doctors that specialize in getting people off of them. But here's the thing about that chemical imbalance thing. That's not real.
After that podcast with Marcus King, the internet really...
Okay, fuck you, bro. It is. I struggle with it all my life.
Started turning on Rogan when Theo shared a clip and responded, "This is mostly cap. Sad to see this kind of stuff. I'm doing great. I'm a human being, which is a rocky ride, but I'm doing fine. Thanks." And once Theo posted that, people who already think Joe's...
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Good for Theo.
Been compromised, immediately went into conspiracy mode. They started acting like Joe was setting up a narrative in advance, like if anything ever happened to Theo, people could point back and go, well, Joe already told us he was unstable. Now Joe would eventually address that in his apology to Theo. But before any of that happened, Brendan Schaub and Brian Callen rushed in to defend Joe over the Marcus King clip.
Exactly know what they do. And they kind of numb you in some sort of a way that helps some people.
So you transition into the whole antidepressant thing, but yeah. So
all Joe's saying is that there are certain things that are concerning based on what he's heard from the mouth of Theo.
The people that criticize this are saying that why would Rogan, basically say it on his show?
Because Theo's talking about it publicly. So Theo's nothing that Joe said there wasn't.
Yeah, Theo's talking about it publicly, but then also
all he's saying is
the only thing I don't like, he's like, yeah, he's talking about his conspiracy and stuff. I was like, yeah,
he did mention
that's not a reason to think a guy's himself.
Rogan is way off the mark when Schaub starts sounding like the logical one. Joe would instantly brush off Theo and make him look crazy anytime he questioned real-world topics that clearly aren't exactly state-sponsored and Spotify-approved narratives. And to be fair, Brian Callen is right about one thing. Yes, Theo has publicly talked about his mental health before, but that doesn't mean Joe should start bringing up Theo every single time mental health comes up.
The only time I question Theo's mental health is when he was working with Brian Callen and Brendan Schaub and getting ripped off by Podcast One. And that's why he left the King and its thing, or what they call the golden hour.
In conversations like he's some kind of public case study. Joe got to hear that from the internet for an entire weekend, which is probably why on the very next podcast back, he made a public apology to Theo.
So I wanted to do this because, number one, because I feel bad. And whenever I feel bad about something, and I felt bad all weekend, I feel like I have to address this. So I did an episode recently with Marcus King, and we were talking about people on antidepressants that can't get off of them, and I brought up Theo. I brought up this instance where Theo was he did a show for Netflix, and it apparently didn't go well. And afterwards, he said something to someone in the audience where he said, "I'm just trying to not my own life, or not my own life." I forget exactly how he said it. And I brought that up.
Well, I mean, that was Theo Vaughn's reaction to seeing Joe Rogan's Burn the Boats. You know, where he bombed on Netflix.
Certainly shouldn't have brought that up in that context. And I probably shouldn't have brought it up, period.
Yeah, because you bombed on Netflix Live. You bombed, Giuseppe.
But I just sort of wanted to kind of explain why I have this thing with Theo where I just want him to be okay. And, you know, we did a podcast a while back where we were talking about, he started talking about Israel, and I was like, I think you're just losing your mind. And a lot of people like, you're covering for Israel. And it wasn't what I was trying to do. And it is my fault. It's clunky, and I was just trying to talk him off the ledge because I had seen this video, and you'd seen that video too. Yeah. Now, by the way, I've talked to Theo. I apologize to Theo.
Never really got an answer for why Joe kept dodging or redirecting Theo whenever certain topics came up. And that's the part people keep circling back to, because Joe talks to Theo with these weird kid gloves. He would never respond that way to Metzger, Tim Dillon, or Dave Smith when they question Israel or intelligence agencies.
Because Joe doesn't care about them. And maybe Joe knows something about these people that we don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I tend to think, you know, I think Brennan Schaub identifies with Theo because, you know, Joe Rogan very famously did this to Brennan Schaub, where he convinced him to quit UFC to become a comedian and ruin his own life.
Or any of that stuff. But when Theo brings it up, suddenly it turns into, hey, buddy, maybe the antidepressants are making you paranoid.
He started talking about Israel, and people were saying I was covering for Israel. There's people that even say my wife is Jewish. She's not. I don't know why people are saying that, but I get how if you are conspiratorially minded.
Oddly defensive there.
You would think that that's what I was doing. But if you've listened to the show, you wouldn't think that that's how I've had so many episodes where we criticize Israel. So many so that I brought in Dave Smith to argue with Douglas Murray because I didn't want Douglas Murray to be able to say these.
Have you been? Have you been? I don't know. That's the witty with that, Joe Rogan. Have you been to the doctor? Have you been to the doctor? I heard the science about SSRIs.
Things that were promoting this war in Gaza without someone who's very educated, who understands what's going on, which is Dave, and very good at arguing. When you have a good friend, but you don't, like with comics, it's one of the things we see each other like every few months. We don't spend a whole lot of time together sometimes. And then you see a guy when you haven't seen him in so long, and they start telling you that they're not doing well, and you don't know what to do. And that's where I kind of found myself. I mean, I don't know how any other way to say this. I think I've said too much already. But I apologize to Theo. He knows I love him, and he said that, and we laughed and we joked around about it. And I apologize for the way I talked about this. But I felt like I need to explain to other people too. And it certainly wasn't like covering for Israel, and it certainly wasn't like trying to paint him out like he's damaged. Or
the conversation got so big online after Rogan brought up Theo's mental health with Marcus King that Theo had to make another post saying, some people are saying false stuff like I'm struggling or something. I'm doing fine. People want to say things and I don't know why. I can't control that, but I can speak for myself. And even after Theo publicly said he was fine, it still didn't completely stop the mental health narrative from spreading. Kind of bled into other podcasts too, where people kept framing Theo through that same lens as Rogan.
I think what the point is that there are a lot of people in their lives and nobody saw it coming.
And by the way, this is what they do when you start speaking out. I mean, this is what they did with me when I started speaking out on accessibility. oh, why are you being negative? Why are you mentally ill? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Chris Cornell's a good example of that. He had a daughter, I think 2 daughters.
The lead singer.
He had everything going for him. And when you see that, you go,
damn, you could tell one of Brian's victims attacked him there. Damn, she got him good.
whatever he was going through to leave his 2 daughters.
No one knew.
There is something so real.
How about that Chester guy from Lincoln
despair.
Park? He had like 6 kids, young kids. They have a
makes me-
picture
that's
day
the part
before himself.
sad.
He's on the deck with his whole family. They're all smiling. That next day,
Bringing up Cornell and Bennington as examples was probably the worst comparison you could make, because whether you agree with it or not, there are huge groups of people online who think there were mysterious circumstances around those deaths. I'm not going all the way down that rabbit hole, but it exists. And the people who believe that are the exact same kind of people who now look at Theo's situation and start thinking the same thing could happen to him. It's crazy that 2 people in Hollywood can be so out of touch that they bring up those guys as an example when they should have used them as an example of why Theo is as scared as he is. But I think Joe knows Theo's in a tough spot and he just wants him to be okay. And like himself, they are kind of between a rock and a hard place when it comes to pleasing their audience and their masters.
I just want them to be okay. And when you're dealing with someone, or when you have like had experience dealing with someone where it winds up going very badly, and then you're just left with this feeling like, what could I have done? I didn't do a good job of it, especially like the Marcus King thing. Like, that's terrible what I did. I didn't mean to. I was just trying to. You don't think sometimes when you're in the middle of a podcast, you're just having a conversation. You don't think about the impact that it's going to have. That's one of the reasons why.
So many ideas floating through that empty billiard of his.
Podcasts are so weird because like you're in the middle of trying to be entertaining, but you're also just having a conversation. And I fucked up. So because I felt so.
We fucked up both being entertaining and having conversations, if you ask me.
Badly about it, I was like, there's got to be a way to address this where I just express myself. And so that's why. We've never done this before. No. We've never done this kind of a thing after a podcast. But Theo's very important to me.
And while most people are probably going to side with Theo, Rogan isn't completely wrong for being concerned. Honestly, he probably should be concerned. Theo's openly talked about addiction, depression, relapsing, all that stuff for years. The problem isn't that Joe cared. The problem is that he aired all of the.
But bro, you have to realize though, Theo Vaughn is just a Tom Brady character. So I don't know why Tom Brady is like freaking out. This is the retired Theo Vaughn character. Just stop it.
Theo's laundry out to millions of people while Theo wasn't there to speak for himself.
I mean, it's not also out of the norm for anybody close to Theo having some concerns about his mental health. He has a history of it. Mm-hmm. So why Rogan's getting backlash from it, like, I'm a little concerned. And if you're reading.
I'm concerned about Brendan Schaub's mental health. By the way, he's speaking in slurs. Holy crap, I have cerebral palsy, but good God, man.
What some of the people were saying about Theo, you'd like, fuck. Joe can call Theo. Theo will answer. So you could talk to him direct.
Yeah,
that's also
the main thing.
That's probably the best move, and not say it on the biggest podcast in the world.
It gets weird when Brendan Schaub starts sounding like the voice of reason, but what's even crazier is how far this drifted from the actual point. Instead of addressing the disagreements or the topics Theo was bringing up, the whole thing got turned into this oversized.
I mean, Rogan did this thing with Brendan Schaub, getting him to leave UFC to get more brain damage as a comedian.
Meta beef between 2 aging podcasters. We're not even talking about the issues anymore. We're just dissecting podcaster drama like it's a reality show.
I just felt terrible about it. And I told them I'd never bring it up publicly again. But I think it is important to let people know.
You should be sued for HIPAA violations. You fucking toe.
Know that aspect of it. So,
like, okay, everything he said here, like Theo said, it's cap, it's a lie. Okay, because the reality, Joe Rogan knew that the antidepressants weren't why Theo bombed the special. He bombed the special because he was afraid of speaking in public after Charlie Kirk got killed, right? Also, like Joe Rogan's lying because first he tried to blame that on Mark Maron mentioning Theo in his special. And also, third reason Joe Rogan should have brought that up is because, guys, he burned the boats. He burned Netflix live. Okay? Theo can do another special. Joe Rogan can't undo the burn the boats fiasco. He can't undo looking like a massive cock for Dana White endorsing Trump. And now, going, gee Willikers, I'm not really sure about this. And then, they get at him with some cheap, whatever that mushrooms, garbage it's which won't hold up in court. Ibogaine, and on top of that, like it's not even addressing the inequities of prison sentencing and the drug these super crime bills and shit. So like, all this is capital, Rogan. But I mean, what do you expect from the steroid king? Like, and again, it's cap because at the end of the day, he jealous of Theo because Theo's well liked and Theo is funny. So, like I said, guys, solidarity forever. Like and subscribe. Don't be like Joe Rogan. Don't be like Theo Vaughn. Don't be like Brennan Trump, and certainly don't be like Brian Kelly. Ew. But like and subscribe. Hit me up on Instagram. Let me know if you want some other topics to be covered. I'll leave a link to the description. Shout out to Comedy Apologia, or actually, this is American Redact. Comedy Apologia Comedy, okay? Sorry, American Redact. I love you all. You're amazing to all of you. Like and subscribe. That's been me. Another one down. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You guys like and subscribe. Be good to yourselves. Solidarity forever.